In just a minute, we're going to be hearing from Tim Mai on how to make passive income with crypto mining. And then later at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be on with Tim Sykes. He's a millionaire stock trader, entrepreneur, and teacher. And then we're going to close our session out tonight with Ben Oberg, owner and CEO of Millionaire Mafia. And remember, we'll be broadcasting all through the weekend. We have, I think, 5 talks per day on Saturday and Sunday. So make sure you tune in. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to John Tarr, the co-host and founder of Totally Crypto. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, thanks, Richard. Welcome, everybody. John Tarr. And before we get started here, let me share our handy-dandy disclaimer. The content of this summit, as you know, is provided for informational purposes only. It's not intended to provide any specific tax, accounting, legal, or other investment advice, or provide the basis for any financial or investment decisions. You should always consult with a licensed professional to seek advice specific to your own situation. All right, let's get going. As you know, I'm John Tarr, and welcome back to the Future of Money Summit, the largest live online cryptocurrency summit ever. I'm super excited about our guest right now. His name is Tim Mai, and I'm going to tell you a quick story. Before I introduce him, though, let me mention that on this page, you're going to get a button for the cryptocurrency training kit. It's a special offer during the summit that we've talked about. It gets you all the talks in the summit, over 40 hours, 25 plus speaker bonuses, including the one Tim's going to give away here, and something that Roger Bryan and I developed called the Cryptocurrency Mastery Program. The regular price is $497, and you can secure that now for $297. It is the most comprehensive training package on the market, so make sure to take advantage of that now. All right, now let's talk about Tim for a second. And before I read his bio, I'm going to tell you how he came to be on the summit. A few months ago, when we were putting this together, we were thinking, okay, who are some big names that we can get? And everybody kind of knows a lot of the big names in crypto. And so I also wanted to know who are my brethren entrepreneurs who are out there doing it. And so I made a Facebook post. I have a pretty big reach on Facebook. And so I made a Facebook post and I said, I'm putting on an online cryptocurrency summit. Do you or anyone you know want to speak? And so obviously, I had to vet them and things like that. But Tim's name kept coming up over and over and over and over again. And I happened to know of him. I did not know him, but I knew of him from his real estate stuff. So let me read his bio real quick. And I have to say that I agree. Tim is the embodiment of the American dream. He's a nationally known author, entrepreneur, and speaker. All of these things despite a rather bleak childhood that included war, a dramatic escape from pirates at sea, which would be another show I'd love to hear about, and languishing in a refugee camp. Tim is a successful real estate investor and business coach turned cryptocurrency miner. I don't know what these things mean, so I'm not going to say this, but he's got a lot of freaking miners, and we're going to talk about it. And basically located in Texas and New York. He lives in Sugar Land, Texas, with his wife and his 2 sons. And Tim, welcome. Super excited to have you. Let me tell you what you're going to be talking about. He's going to show us how to make passive income, massive passive income from crypto mining. And he's also going to cover how you can start small, because that's important, and build into something big, a big crypto mining farm. That's awesome. How to know which mining machines are most profitable and where to buy them from. I think that's great information we all need to know. And which pool to use for the highest daily payout, and how to scale your operation. And of course, at the end of the talk, we'll give you an opportunity to get Tim's bonus. So Tim, let's dive into something real quick. And I asked you this when we started, but how did you get into cryptocurrency? You are a very successful real estate entrepreneur. And I asked you, well, how in the world did you get into cryptocurrency? So tell our audience how.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you, John, for inviting me to be on here, and thanks everybody for joining in. And really appreciate the opportunity to share. I always love sharing. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, since high school. Actually, I used to buy computers, fix them up, and resell them. In college, I bought used cars, fix them up, resell them. Out of college, I got into real estate business. and bought used houses, fix them, and resell them. So I've done many different types of entrepreneurship. I have very successful real estate flipping business, as well as a real estate hard money lending business where I loan money to other people who flip houses, and also teach them as well. How I came across, I actually heard about Bitcoin years ago, when Bitcoin was only $1 per coin, from my nephew in Vietnam. And at that time, he was still in high school, and he would, whatever money that we give him, he would buy Bitcoin with it.
That's so great.
And I know, right? And so he told all of us, our whole family, about it. I'm like, okay, first of all, he's a kid, high school kid. Second, he's from Vietnam. What does he know? Right? And so I dismissed it. I didn't do anything with it. Fast forward a year and a half ago, I was buying a laptop for my 13-year-old son, and I was like, okay, I don't want to spend big bucks. Let me buy it off of Craigslist. So I bought him a MacBook Air from Craigslist, and the guy that I was buying it from, we got talking about well, what do you do? Sharing what we do, and he's like, well, I buy and sell Bitcoin. I was like, interesting. Tell me more. How does that work? So he started sharing with me about how he buy Bitcoins from local Bitcoins, which is local in Houston, and then sell it online through another website called Paxful. And I was like, it's for a markup, a 20 to 30% markup. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I can do that. And with my real estate background, and my training background too, I have a lot of virtual assistants that I employ in the Philippines. I was like, why don't I have one of my virtual assistants to do this business for me? So I'll buy the Bitcoin locally, and then my virtual assistant can just sell it online. Yeah, it was just like clockwork. She was selling anywhere from 1 to 2 Bitcoin a day, of a markup of 20 to 30%, per coin. So you can imagine that it was a pretty cool business. And so I've been doing that, and then 6 months ago, November of 2017, I started to learn more about the mining side of the business, because with real estate background, I like the passive income just as much as I like the business income. So I was like, okay, let me buy some mining machine and start there. So I started with 10 Litecoin machines, and I really liked it. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go big. I'm going to buy 1,000 machines. And I'm gonna buy them 100 machines a month, for 10 months to get to 1,000 machines. Little did I know, once the machines started coming in, I was like, holy shit, where am I gonna house all these machines and run them? That's where I learned about power, I used to think that you can have unlimited, like you can use as much power as you want to use, right? As much that you're willing to pay for anyways. Well, I've learned that's not true. There's a limitation.
Awesome. Well, see, the two things that I wanted to tell people about your story there is, one, especially when it comes to crypto or any kind of technology, never ignore the high school kids, right? I mean, they know, they're on it, man. And two, Tim is going to give you a presentation today, and he has taken, you said you've been focused on this for the last 6 months or so, since November. And one of the things I love about entrepreneurs, and sometimes people say, if they tell you they've been doing something for a long time, we think, oh, that makes them an expert. Well, the thing about entrepreneurs are, and Tim is the quintessential entrepreneur. We get in there and we throw ourselves into something, and we're not afraid to fail. And when you do that, you start to pick up things at hyper speed. And so Tim has become an expert on mining through basically effing it up a lot, right,
Yep.
Tim?
Yeah,
Is that pretty much it? So
yeah,
I think,
that's pretty much it.
yeah. So what he's going to show you, how to start small, avoid maybe some of the mistakes that he made, and turn it into profit. So I'm going to let you do your thing, man. But I wanted to tell that story because I think people need to understand that. When guys get into this and they throw themselves into it and make all these mistakes, you can learn a lot from that.
Exactly. Yep.
So
All
cool,
right.
man. So do your thing. And I told Tim I would gladly interrupt him because I'm super excited to hear what he's going to talk about. So if I have some questions, I'll chime in. And if you have questions, ask them in the Facebook Live, and Richard, our producer, will send them over to us so that I make sure to ask Tim. So, and forgive me, shame on me, because I have not been paying attention to those. And it's day 4, and I'm now going to pay attention to every question. So send them over. Tim, it's all you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to share with you today how to start your profitable crypto mining business without risking your life savings. And I'm highlighting the word profitable here because a lot of people get into this business and don't know what they're doing and end up, losing a lot of money and getting out of the business. My goal is to save you from that headache and not lose your money, and be able to stay in the business, because we need we need everyone to get into crypto as much as possible to increase that adoption rate, to increase the value of crypto. And so my goal for this presentation today is to is to share with you some of the lessons I've learned, some of the mistakes I've made, so that way you don't make it too. Okay. I love this saying: it's wise to learn from your own mistakes. It's much wiser to learn from other people's mistakes. And so so I'm gonna, that's what I want to share with you about today. And for this presentation, I'm not here to try to sell you a course. I'm not here to sell you mining machines or any of that stuff. Those are all valid. But I want to let you know that, I'm not going to hype up about crypto mining to try to sell you something. That's not what this presentation is, and that's not my style either. I want to give you sort of like the inner, the inner workings of how it's like to grow, from your very first mining machine to, your hundreds, if not thousands of mining machines, and give you, the full picture view of it and the challenges that I've gone through, and that you're gonna go through, and hopefully that's gonna minimize your mistakes as much as possible. Okay. And then at the end of this presentation as well, I'm going to share with you your bonus, which is what I call my ultimate um, crypto mining quick start and resource guide, as well as a coupon that you can use to buy mining machines with, should you choose to do that. And my goal really. I'm just super excited that John invited me, and I'm just going to share, pretty much a lot of what I've learned in the last 6 months and the last year and a half in this Bitcoin space. All right, just really quickly, John mentioned a lot about me, so I'm going to just go quickly about a little bit about me. This is my beautiful wife. She's my high school sweetheart. We've been together since junior year of high school. These are our 2 handsome boys. Tyler, this is a little bit older picture, but Tyler is now just turned 14 years old, and Austin just turned 11 years old this
Awesome.
week.
Great looking family.
Thank you. Yeah, today is my 11-year-old's birthday today, actually. So as soon as I'm done with this, thank you. Yeah,
happy birthday.
Yeah. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm gonna take him out here. So I've been an entrepreneur since high school. So it's been a long time. So crypto is not even though it's a new business, but definitely not my first rodeo, and that's how I've been able to grow so quickly. I made my first $1 million in real estate in 2004. I started my teaching information marketing business since 2006, and have sold millions of dollars online. I started when I got into Bitcoin, like I share, I started with my first 10 Litecoin machines, and I'm now at over 300 mining machines. And I'm consulting with some companies that are putting in thousands of machines as well as my clients. I'm on the board of director of the Blockchain and Crypto Mining Association, and I'm also the founder of blockchainhero.es. mastermind, which is a mastermind for basically accredited investors you would call them the whales of crypto, guys that have 6-7 figure invested in crypto. So yeah, I've done a lot of things right in this business, no doubt. However, I've also done tons of things wrong in this business, and some of which I'll share with you today. After mining for over 6 months now, I've discovered number one is that mining is a lot easier, a lot simpler than what most people think. You can literally start mining as soon as this presentation is done. Like, it's that easy, using what you already have to be on this webinar right now. Okay, the computer that you already have, or the old computers that you have, you can do that without buying any expensive equipment. So that way you can get started, learn it, before you start investing your hard-earned money into the business. Number two, I've learned is that doing it bigger is not necessarily better. I thought that, hey, if I just grow to 1,000 machines, that would be really great. And I'm going to share with you why I've decided to not grow to 1,000 machines anymore and do it the smarter way.
Yeah, Tim, I'm going to jump in just real quick, because I think that that's a myth, and all human beings think, oh, well, if this works, right, bigger is always better. Like, that's what we think. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that I learned is that profitable daily passive income through crypto mining is only possible when you do it right. Because if you don't do it right, you will end up spending way more money than you will ever make. Okay, and so that's why I want to share with you today. All right, so how did I discover this the hard way, right? And how you can cheat your way through the easy way. So one of the lessons I learned was buying the expensive machines. If you remember, I got started in November, and at that time it was such a crypto. November, December was such a crypto craze. Everybody was getting into it, whether they were buying Bitcoin, or buying just cryptocurrency in general, or buying mining machines. And if you remember back then, in November, December, some of these mining machines were like $6,000, $8,000. The same machine that you can buy today for under $1,000.
Hey, Tim, let me just see, can you, for everybody that is on here, and so like my grandma, right? Can you tell my grandma what mining is? Because she may not know.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, so great, thank you. So mining is a process in which your computer, or a specialized computer called the mining machine, does this computation, okay? And in that computation, what it does is that it facilitates and verify a transaction. So John, if I was sending you some Bitcoin right now, well, behind the scene, there are computers. Yeah, yes. Behind the scene, there are computers that process that transaction. And those machines, is the work that they're doing is called mining. And they're called mining machines, or miners. So that's one way that the machine is mining. Another way that the machine is mining is solving these complex algorithms to make the system, the blockchain system, more secure, and prevent from hacks and from duplications, like that. So those are the two things that two processes that's called mining.
Got it.
I hope your grandma would understand that.
Yeah, maybe. She's probably like, I don't get it still, but okay. But
right.
Computers, so tell me how to make money.
Exactly, right. So yeah, some of this about this whole blockchain and cryptocurrency, some of it is that you don't need to know the inner workings behind the scene of, like, I don't know how to get connected to internet, really. Like, all I know is I can get on Google and do a search. I don't know that there's Ethernet cables and fiber and whatever, thing that goes behind that, right? I just know that I can get on Google, I can get on Amazon, I can get on YouTube and watch a video.
Yeah, you're like the Cox cable guy said, my internet works, so it works, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So mining and blockchain, works the same way. So don't overcomplicate this whole industry and business. Okay. Um, all right. So the second hard thing that I learned is not growing so fast and buying more machines than what my facility can handle. So I learned a lot about power electricity. As I shared earlier, I used to think that, as long as I'm willing to pay for electricity, the electricity company would love for me to use as much electricity as I'm willing to pay, right? Wrong. It doesn't work that way. Every building is limited by the transformers that are bringing the power to the building. And so, while you're not limited to how you use your electricity consistently, but you're limited on the load, right? So for most buildings, I'll just give you an example. For most buildings, like a house, for example, a house can support 10 mining machines pretty easily. Okay, but most house cannot support 20 mining machines. Okay, most office building cannot support 100 mining machines. Um, and so you want to make sure that you know what the capacity is before you start growing so fast. And we'll talk more about this in a little bit as we talk about how to scale up. Okay. And the third hard way that I've learned is when you're scaling, you don't have to use your own money. Okay. By tapping into other people's money, you're sharing in the risk and the reward of that. Okay, so we'll go more. So a lot of people, when I share with them about mining, they'll talk about, well, I don't have, it costs thousands of dollars. I don't have the money to do that. So I'm going to share with you how you can do that as you grow. All right. So are you ready? You ready? You want the easy way to start your ultimate cash cow crypto mining business?
I like easy.
Yes. All right. So this is my humble beginnings. On the left side here, you see on the very left corner, that's my GPU rigs that are back there. And these are the 10 Litecoin machines that I started with here. And now you can't hear the humming sound behind me, but at my secret headquarters right now, I have over 160 of these machines running in the background. If I open the door, you probably can start to hear the humming sound.
And these are in an office building, or this is like your house? Where are these? I'm thinking of my wife. My wife would kick me out of the house if I had stuff in the bedroom,
Right. So this is an office building. We have a 50,000 square feet office / warehouse building.
Cool.
That these machines are running at. And then my other half of my machines are up in Syracuse, New York, where it's much colder climates, much cheaper electricity. It's in an actual co-location facility, which I'll talk about later. And how to decide that? How do you decide? Should you mine out of your own warehouse that you're going to rent, or should you mine in a co-location facility and you pay a hosting fee for it? Okay, so we'll go into that in a little bit here. All right, so my first 4 months that I mined, I actually mined over $123,000 worth of crypto, all passively, and I didn't even have to risk my own money. Here is a screenshot, of one of the mining pools via BTC, Litecoin pools that that I used. I'm actually on different pools. Depending on what type of coins you're mining. If you're mining Litecoin, it's a different pool. If you're mining Bitcoin, it's a different pool. If you're mining Ethereum, it's a different pool. And we'll talk about some of the pools on the call today, as well as I recommend that you go and play around and test out different pools for the ones that are most profitable. I wanted to share that my results that I just shared with you or that I mention on this call at all. It's just my personal results. Your results may vary, based on your investment, based on your work. So don't take this as an income claim. All right. All right, so I'm going to share with you 3 secrets today. The first secret I want to share with you is how you can start mining right now using the computer that you already have. Secret number 2 I'm going to share with you is, smarter mining is much better than bigger mining. And secret number 3 is the ultimate way to build a full-time income, a full-time passive income business with crypto mining. So whether that's your goal to make $100,000 a year passive income, so you can quit your job and go retire or go hang out with John.
Come on over.
Or grow that into $1 million passive income business. One of my clients that I'm helping right now is actually, we're talking about a $30 million crypto mining business. So a huge operation.
Yeah, big.
All right. Yep. All right, secret number 1, how you can start mining right now using your computer. If you have a laptop, a desktop, an old computer that you're no longer using, you can actually put it to work. Okay, it doesn't need anything fancy. So when you're mining using your own computer, it's called CPU mining. So you're mining using the your CPU chips. Okay. And this doesn't. It used to be when the whole crypto mining first started. This is how CPU was how everyone started mining. And in a lot of third world countries where people can buy these old computers very cheaply and the electricity is pretty cheap. If like Venezuela as an example, right, where your electricity is super, super cheap. Well, you can put all of these old computers to work and mine and make money for you. Okay. So number 1, what you need to mine with your own computers is having the right software to do it. Okay. So if you have a Chrome browser, there's a extension, a Chrome extension called CryptoTab. Okay, CryptoTab, and you install that Chrome extension, and you can turn on the mining over here, and you can adjust the speed so that way if you're using that computer, it doesn't slow your computer down too much. But if it's just an old computer you're not using, you can max it, right? And it'll mine crypto for you very, very easily. Okay, and then other software that you can also use besides your Chrome browser. If you have a Mac computer, you can Google Mac Miner, okay? And that's the software that you can install on your Mac and mine on. It works similar to the CryptoTab. And then if you have a Windows computer, it's called Easy Miner that you can install on your Windows computer and mine that way. Okay, pretty easy, right, John?
That's super easy. Do you have and I don't know if you want to talk about this. I'm just curious because I'm like, oh, that's super easy. And I had falsely believed that you could not do that on a regular computer. I didn't think you could mine. So I'm learning. Are there coins you recommend that I mine with my Mac or my PC? Anything you think?
Okay, great question. So first of all, I don't recommend for you to mine with your computers. I do recommend that you start here because it's free, you already have it, to learn the process. But for most of us, our electricity cost is higher than what your computer can mine to cover for electricity costs. So I'll give you an example. Okay, I have a MacBook Pro, and one mining machine that's made specifically for mining is equivalent to 25 of my MacBook Pro. So as you can see, it doesn't make sense to, your computer can't compete with the mining machines that are out there.
Kind of like using an old typewriter instead of a Word program.
Exactly. Right. Okay. But if you're just learning to if you're just learning to type, and a typewriter is all you have, that's a good place to learn how to type,
Yep.
right? It's like that. So I do recommend you to start here, but definitely don't end here because it's not going to mine fast enough to make enough money to cover for your electricity. But it's a great place to learn, because you already have it. You don't have to spend any money to learn to mine.
So I've got to ask one question here because I know when I first got into internet marketing and I made my first sale, right? And I was
Hmm.
like, and I don't even care. I think I lost $700 to get that sale, but I didn't care. Like I was hooked. Is that what happened
Exactly.
to you here? You get that first coin and you're like,
Yep.
I'm in.
You're exactly right. Yep. I mean, you're in, and then like it only takes like CryptoTab as an example. It takes you less than 2 minutes to install the browser, and you're in.
Yeah. And how
So,
did you feel when you got that first payout?
oh yeah, it was awesome. It's like, wow, like I'm part of history.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine, 30, 20, 30 years from now, we're talking to our grandkids about, yeah, daddy, granddads used to, used to mine on my computer, right?
Yeah.
So you
That's
get
so
to share
awesome.
that kind of story. Yep. So yeah, this is how you can get started very easily. All right, so which leads me to the next part. That not all hardware are created equal, and they're not going to all make the same amount of money. So it's important that which hardware to use. As you grow, right? So as someone who's just getting started, brand new. Like I said, start with what you already have: your computer, your desktop, laptop. Put that to work. Okay. um, and that process, that type of hardware that you're using is called your CPU, your central processing unit. Okay. The next type, once you grow from that, that sort of infancy stage, right, toddler, into adolescence, you're going to grow into GPU mining. GPU mining is using your video cards off of your computer. Uh, Gamers know this very well. My 13-year-old, well, both of my boys, they love gaming, but especially my 14-year-old now. He has learned a lot about the different graphic cards to use, to be able to play like the top games, I guess. And then so from there, he learned how to, like build his own computer and compare the different GPUs. So once you go from just sort of like a learning how to get into mining, GPU is what I would recommend for you to go into as a hobbyist. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit here. Why I say to do it as a hobbyist and not as a full-time business. Okay, um, the next type of mining hardware is called ASIC, which stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit. So these are chips, like CPU chips, that are made specifically for a specific type of mining. So you can't use these ASIC chips to browse the internet with. You can't use them to play games with. And an ASIC chip for Bitcoin mining is different from an ASIC chip for Litecoin mining, which is different from an ASIC chip for Ethereum mining. Okay, so they're made very specifically for a specific application. And because of that, they are able to run a lot more efficiently. Their processing power is much more powerful because there's minimal waste. They use less power for the amount of processing they have, and that's why I said, one of these ASIC machine equals 25 of my MacBook Pro, because my MacBook Pro has a lot of waste because it's trying to do many other things, right? Versus an ASIC machine is very focused. So these are the three, major type of hardware that you're gonna see when you get into the mining business. So a GPU mining rig looks something like this. Okay, so in the bottom here you have your motherboard, you have your power supply. It's very much like your normal desktop computers, except for for it has all of these video cards on here versus your desktop computer probably only have one, or even it doesn't even have an external graphic card. It might have a built-in graphic card onto the motherboard. Okay, so a GPU mining rig, on the other hand, uses these video cards right here, these GPU cards to mine with. Okay, and so the more GPU cards you have, the more it can mine. There's a motherboard out there that supports 24 cards. So imagine like one computer with 24 of these graphic cards mining. Okay, that's a massive computer, as you can see.
So here's a question, and I'm trying not to ask a bunch of questions, even though I have like 100, because I don't want to mess up your flow. But I'm totally untechy, right? Like there's no tech going on here. Everybody thinks that's some sort of stick with me. It's not. I'm terribly techy. But I can't understand the difference between GPU and CPU. So I do understand that the graphic card, what you just mentioned, is the difference, but why does that help with mining crypto?
Right. Okay, great. Yeah. So first of all, so CPU is like your Intel chips, right? It's the processor that's the brain of your computer that you normally use. Okay. Versus GPU is only deals with the graphic part of your computer. It's the thing that display on the monitor that you see here. Okay, so it's a GPU.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's the GPU, the graphic processing unit, that allows you to see what you're seeing on your monitor right now.
So is it safe to say that each one of these, as you go from CPU to GPU to the ASIC, it's just more focused and more focused and more focused?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And that's correct. And and also too, and I'll explain the difference between GPU and ASIC. So I do love that you're asking me these questions because, well, a lot of times since I've been so into this, I just automatically assume people know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, no, I'm representing all the C students out there, so I'm here for you guys.
I'm one of them as well. So
I don't know about that.
Okay, so this is a GPU rig. And you don't have to be a techie to have a GPU rig. You can buy them already built, so you don't have to build any of this stuff yourself. Okay, the two rigs that I bought, I didn't build these. I bought them already built from another person that was mining, and I actually bought them off of Craigslist. So there you have it. I use the Craigslist to buy a lot of things. You find really good deals on mining rigs on Craigslist because there's always people that got in over the head, don't know what they're doing, and now they're just dumping them.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Which would be me after this presentation when I go out and buy a bunch of mining rigs on Craigslist. So hopefully not. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, after this presentation, you'll be an expert, so you know better what to buy. So awesome. So okay, so here's a very popular ASIC miner that you see out there. It's the name of the company is called Bitmain, and the name of the machine is called an Antminer S9. Okay, Antminer S9. So this is a Bitcoin mining machine. And all of the ASIC, well, not all, majority of the ASIC mining machine looks very similar to this. It has the same form factor. As you can see, the difference between this computer, right, versus this tiny little thing, huge difference. But the processing power of this guy versus this guy has like a lot more processing power than this guy does. Okay, and so because it's so focused, so made so specifically, it's able to keep the cost down a lot more.
When you say cost, you mean your cost to mine, electricity cost, and things like
everything.
that?
Everything. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, your cost to buy, your cost to mine, your power cost, everything, because it's so condensed. So you have a more powerful machine, and when I say cost to mine, what I mean is like your income to electric cost ratio. is better with an ASIC machine than with a GPU machine.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So here's a quick question. You may be getting to this too. And again, I'm trying to hold back the questions, but I just can't help myself. So why wouldn't I just buy the ASIC miners? Why would I even mess with the GPU miners?
Great question, and we'll go right into that. There you go. Look, the next slide. Check that out.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. That's why I need to be quiet. Go ahead.
GPU versus ASIC miners. That's like the question, in real estate. I'm sure everyone have seen, or most everyone has seen flipping shows, right? Where you flip houses, and flipping show versus like someone who buy a house and rent it, right? So one has to do with equity, the other one has to do with cash flow. Like which one do you want more, right? So with an ASIC machine, because it's so focused, it is able to make more money and give you an ROI faster. However, because it's so specific to just mining, once it very quickly, or it's more quickly, becomes obsolete. And when it becomes obsolete, it's just trash. It's just an expensive door stopper at that point.
Okay.
Okay, versus GPU mining, even if we stop mining with these graphic cards right here, there's a lot of other people that can use these graphic cards, such as gamers, such as UFO researchers. There was an article about how UFO researchers are having a hard time doing their work because all of these GPUs are being bought up by crypto miners.
Oh man, who knew, right? Who knew?
Right. But not only UFO researchers, but a lot of research, including animation rendering. So Pixar, as an example, have millions of these GPUs to render the graphics, for an animation movie. Okay, so
Cool.
these GPUs here have a lot of use to them. So that way, it takes a lot longer for these GPUs to be obsolete, than an ASIC miner, right? Versus these guys right here, so this guy been out for a couple of years. In another year from now, this will just be a fancy door stopper. That's it. That's all there'll be.
All right.
Okay. So that's where you have to decide, what do I want more? Do I want to make the most of money as fast as I can, and as long as the machine already made ton of profit and I made profit, who cares if it goes obsolete? Okay. So then, when you look the large scale, the people with thousands of machines, they're focusing on cash flow. They're not focusing on the resellability of the machines. They're like, you know what? If I already made my profit already, I don't care if I throw away those machines when they become obsolete, right? I'm not going to go through the trouble of reselling the machines, and try to get the most I can for the machine on the resale market. Okay.
Now, what's one of these bad boys cost you?
So right now, that is a tricky question because it has a lot to do with what type that you buy. But let's say this is the most popular Bitcoin machine right now. If you were to buy it with shipping, with power supply, everything to your door, is roughly about $1,000.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was going to be just an ungodly number. So, okay.
Well, it was. Yeah. So it was like in December, the same machine would have cost you $6,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And now how soon? So I buy one of these for $1,000 and, providing I set it up the way you tell me you set it up, how quick can I get that back?
So in December, this machine was making $30 a day.
Okay. And costing
right,
6 grand.
well, depending on where you bought it, yeah. If you bought it on the retail, on like if you went on Craigslist in December and tried to buy it, it would have cost you 6 grand. If you bought it directly from the manufacturer at that time, it would have cost you around 3 grand.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's say you bought it at 3 grand. Okay, let's use that as an example. And it was making $30 a day. So that means that in 100 days you make your money back, and after that it's profit. Okay. So yeah. And then the GPU miners, for example, depending on which, I mean, GPU has a much wider price range than the Bitcoin one, but just just for sake of comparison, okay. Right now, so let's say a Bitcoin machine that costing you $1,000 and makes you about $8 a day, okay, right now, versus a GPU mining machine that's going to cost you about $2,500 to that will also make you $8 a day. So as you can see, $1,000 to make you $8 a day, your return on your investment is going to be much faster than $2,500 that makes you $8 a day.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And this is just assuming that Bitcoin stays where it does. So basically, and that's a pretty good lick. If I can make my money back in 100 days, and my Indiana math tells me there's 365 days in a year. So I'm going to be pretty profitable with something like that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And that calculation is based on today's price. So if you believe in Bitcoin as an example, you're like, you know what, I'm all into crypto. I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in the coins that I mine. If you don't believe in Bitcoin, maybe you believe in Bitcoin Cash. Maybe you believe in Ethereum. Whatever coin it is that you believe in, you mine that coin. And then you're gonna say, okay, I'm not, it's great how much they're making today, but today is like toward the bottom of the market. So I'm gonna project a year out. So a year from now, if I calculate my let's say Bitcoin goes to 20,000, then that same $8 a day would be more like maybe $15 a day instead of $8, right?
Yeah.
So that calculation of dollar per day is very dependent on when you sell your Bitcoin or your crypto and what the value is at the time that you sell it.
So, this is just a random question, and I know you got some stuff you want to get through. But so, do most of the miners, do they hang on to this? And if they do, or do they liquidate it so that they can run their business? Because if you're just going to hang on to it, how do you run your business then? How do you make
Right.
it cash flow?
Right, exactly. So so individuals, hobbyists, they tend to hold on to them, because they make extra money from work, from their other business. They can pay their electricity with that. For a big business, a lot of them, what they do is they will sell enough to cover for their overhead, cover for their electricity, cover for their staff, and then what's left, they'll hold on to that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who made the mistake of selling it as they make it. And if we just go back a year ago, for example, right? A year ago, Bitcoin was at I don't know, $500 or something like that. Okay. I think it was less than that, but let's just say $500. Okay. Imagine if you had sold all your Bitcoin at $500, and now it's worth today, it's like $7,600 today. Okay. You would lost out on a lot of that profit of that growth of that Bitcoin. So whenever you can, because we're in such an early stage of crypto right now, I mean, everything is cheap right now. Relatively compared to what they could be, the potential that they could be in a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, right? And so I recommend that you minimize your selling of the crypto as much as possible, and save as much as possible. Think of it like your retirement income, your life plan, right? So, and save it like, yeah.
I want to clarify something real quick, Tim, because somebody had a question. So when you're mining these and you're doing this processing for whatever coin it is, then what happens is you get a reward and they pay you in the coin. And I think somebody had a question, well, how do I get paid? They're paying you in whatever coin you're processing for, right? Ethereum, Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna go into that just a little bit
Cool.
here.
So,
how am I doing on time? So I know, like,
well,
how much
listen. I mean, I don't know. I'm good. Like Richard, our producer, shoot me a little message because I know normally we stay to an hour, but I don't mind going over if he doesn't mind going over because I'm enjoying what you're saying. So just shoot me a thing. Yeah, he said it's okay to go over. So just fire. We'll just keep going.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I share as much information as I can, and make sure it's clear for you.
Yeah.
So that way you make a wise decision, investment moving.
It's a lot to get through, and I think mining is such a big part of cryptocurrency, and it's one of the things that we don't focus enough on just because we don't have an expertise there. And so I'm super happy to have you here, and I want to make sure that we do cover all the bases, and I want to make sure I'm able to ask you questions and things. So let's go. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yep. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Okay. So this is the reason why I mentioned, as a hobbyist, I recommend that you do GPUs, because if you get bored of your hobby, it's much easier for you to resell the GPU for what you bought it for, probably, if not sometimes even for more than what you bought it for. And so that way you don't lose any money. Okay. GPUs is a little bit more work than ASIC is, because ASIC is very plug and play. GPU, you still have to hook up your mouse and your keyboard, your monitor, so you can see it. But there's a lot of software out there now that makes it pretty easy, so it's not too bad. If you know how to turn on a desktop computer, you can make the GPU mining work. Assuming you didn't try to build it yourself, you bought it, already built. But if you're a little bit more techie, I love playing around with these kind of things. So while I didn't build my own GPU rig myself, I'm someone who's willing to learn and build it. So does this answer the question of GPU versus ASICs?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. And I can see the differences now. So yes, it does for me. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to fire them over in the comments section and we'll try to answer them. But yeah, it did for me.
Yeah, and another thing I'll mention too about GPU mining, because GPU is more generic, you can use your GPU to mine pretty much any coin that's out there. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, it doesn't matter. You can mine any of them out there. So versus the ASIC machines is specific to that algorithm or that coin, the algorithm that supports that coin. Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, so let's go to secret number 2, which is smart mining is much better than big mining. Okay, which would you rather, to make $1,000 from one machine, or to make $10,000 from 100 machines?
It depends on what it costs me, right?
Right, but generally speaking, if you can maximize, if you look at it. And this is, the purpose of this question is just to get you thinking, because if you make $1,000 on one machine, let's assume that the machine costs the same amount of money. You would much rather just have 10 machines that make 10,000 than having 100 machines that makes 10,000.
Sure.
Right. So and how would you do that? Like, how can one machine makes more money? It's by optimizing it, right? Just like anything we do in life, by optimizing what we do, we maximize the profitability and not just try to go bigger and bigger and bigger. Because the bigger you go, the more overhead you have, and the more complex it becomes. And so your net profit is not necessarily more. Okay. Anybody who runs business would know this.
Indeed. Indeed.
Net income is very different from gross income.
Yes, it is.
All right. So when you are considering going bigger, okay, when you're considering going bigger, maximizing your profit becomes super important. So any machine that you buy, you must calculate your time to ROI, your time to to break even and start to make a profit, right? And so you have to calculate, number one, how much does it cost me? And you calculate down to the processing power. I'm not gonna go too much about it, but it's called hash rate. Okay, like what is my dollar per hash rate? Okay, and based on what the machines are currently making, and I'm gonna give you a website to go to do some of this a calculator that would help you do some of this calculation. But any coin that you mine has what they call difficulty rate. Okay, so what that means is that the more machines that are out there mining that same coin, the more quickly the difficulty rate will increase. Okay, and so as the difficult rate increases, your profitability decreases. So they work like that. Okay, so it's important that you don't just calculate, oh, it's going to cost me $1,000 to buy the Bitcoin machine, and it's going to make me $8 a day today, that it's going to still make me $8 a day a year from now, right? That won't necessarily be true, because depending on how fast that difficulty increases, roughly about 10% a month. Okay, that means that if it, let's just say 10% as an example. So if it's making $8 today, that means in 8 months from now, it's only making $1 a day. And at $1 a day, it won't even make enough to cover for the electricity. Okay?
What's on that $8 a day? And let's just keep in those macro numbers. What's that electricity normally cost me? Is it $1 a day in relation to that?
Yeah. So for a Bitcoin machine, it's about $2.50 a day.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on how how cheap or expensive your electricity is, but rough number is $2.50. So you're actually netting $5.50, something like that. Right? It's your net.
Got it.
So now 8 months from now, it could be very well that Bitcoin will be back up to $20,000, and so so your dollars per day will increase, right? So, but we don't know that. We don't know what the price is going to be. We're hopeful for sure that Bitcoin at a minimum 8 months from now will be at least back to at least 20 grand. And so it's important that you calculate in your cost to buy, your cost to run them, which is electricity and hosting, if you're going to host it out of your own building or at at a co-location facility, and then the difficulty increase as well. So all four of those calculation, and then you can also project out like how long are you going to run it, that before you cash out, right? So if you say, okay, my goal is I'll cash out in 12 months, then you do your calculation based on what you project Bitcoin to be in 12 months. If you have a longer term goal, you're like, what? My goal is to use this for my retirement. So I'll run it for 2 years, right? Or I'll sell my Bitcoin in 5 years from now. So all of those numbers will differ. Okay, but it's important to calculate those things. So what2mine.com is a website that you can go to. It has calculators that tells you what coin based on the machine type that you have, except for it goes by algorithm. But so, like for example, a Bitcoin mining machine uses what they call an SHA-256 algorithm. So there's like Bitcoin Cash is also on that same algorithm. Litecoin Cash is also on that same algorithm, and a few others that are on that same algorithm. And and then you put in the hashing rate, which is the processing power of your machine, and it'll and your electricity cost. If you have 8 cents, 10 cents, whatever your electricity cost is, it'll then tell you if you were to mine Bitcoin, this is what you can expect to make per day. If you were to mine Bitcoin Cash, this is what you can expect to pay per day, and so on. Okay, coinwars.com is another site similar to what to mine that also do the calculation. They do their calculation a little bit differently, and so you might have two different numbers, but they're close enough to give you an idea. Okay, and then mycryptobuddy.com is a website that you can go to do the profit projection that I was talking about with the difficulty rate increase. So that's the website you go to plug in for that. Okay, so there's tons of resources out there that you can go, to do all the calculations. So play around with it. Don't let it confuse you. Just start somewhere. Play around with it. In the beginning, it might be, if you're not technical, it might be a little bit, confusing and hurt your brains to use. But once you get used to it and used to the terminology, it gets much easier and it becomes fun, because now it's like, wow, I get to project my business. I get to project how much I'm going to make 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now. So definitely use these tools, to do your calculation before you plan a big purchase. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. So now mining pools. So here's some of the mining pools that I like, and I'll share with you why. So viabtc.com is the main pool that I use, and I like it the most because.
Tim, can you explain what a mining pool is to everybody?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me that. When it comes to mining, you can do one or two things. You can mine by yourself, okay, which means that you're going to connect your mining machines into the blockchain network, and you mine yourself. Okay, that's called solo mining. Okay, because the difficulty rate is really high. Is much higher right now. You need to have a lot of these mining machines or miners to be able to do solo mining. Generally speaking, they recommend that you have at least 100 of these machines to do solo mining, to make sure that that you're going to get the reward. Okay, the reward works like a commission system. So solo mining is like commission only. So if you don't make a sale, you don't make a commission. So in solo mining, if you don't find a block, you don't make any money at all. Okay, so so if you don't have enough machines to have enough processing power to solve a block, to solve an algorithm, then you risk the chance of never getting paid at all, right? And you can go to, and earlier we were talking about getting paid per day, right? With solo mining, because it's a commission base, it can take weeks or months before you get paid.
Oh, no bueno. Okay.
Okay. Now, a mining pool is where you pool with other people together, right? So instead of you out there selling yourself, you have a team working together to do the selling. So that way, when one person makes the sale, everyone gets a commission. Everyone gets a reward in that. And so it's, you're distributing that out. So that's how the mining pool works, is that you have, hundreds of thousands of mining machines all working together to solve that one block, and whichever one that solves that block first gets a reward, and then gets distributed among everyone who was helping in doing that work.
Okay, awesome. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So ViBTC is a good pool, and it is also one of the more profitable pools as well. When you take, let's say you take a Bitcoin machine, you split test it among, let's say, 10 different pools. There's a lot of Bitcoin pools out there. Which, they won't necessarily pay you the exact same amount for many reasons, because the different payout system, the fees that they charge, and so on. Okay, via BTC is one of the ones that I like more. And what I like a lot about them is that they have a mobile app. I like friendly, friendly user stuff, right? So here's a mobile app that I can very quickly see, which of my machines are running, which ones might be down, how much I made, the last 24 hours, and so on, what my hash rate is. So it makes it super easy to use. So via BTC is one of my favorites to use. And with via BTC, you get paid in the coin that you mine. Okay, so if you mine Litecoin, you get paid in Litecoin. You mine Bitcoin, you get paid in Bitcoin. If you mine Ethereum, you get paid in Ethereum. Okay. Now, another pool, NiceHash.com, they work a little bit differently. When you're connecting to NiceHash, you're actually not mining with them. What you are doing is you are renting your processing power to them. Okay, so instead of you doing the mining, you're actually selling or renting that, they call it hash rate, and then someone else is buying that hash rate. Okay.
Yep.
And NiceHash, it's super easy to use, very friendly user. And
sounds like a great drug. NiceHash.
NiceHash.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's NiceHash will, no matter what machines that you have, NiceHash will only pay you in Bitcoin. Okay. So if you like to get paid in Bitcoin, if you like user-friendly, nice user interface, then NiceHash is your other option. The next one that I like a lot is called pro-hashing. Pro-hashing is really cool that it automatically, instead of mining one coin, it automatically switched to mine the coin that is most profitable to mine in that moment. Right? So like let's say right now it'll mine Bitcoin, and the next moment it'll mine Bitcoin Cash, and the next moment it'll mine Litecoin Cash, or so it switch around, and it has its own algorithm that calculates which coin is most profitable to mine. And then the cool thing about it on the payout side is that it allows you, no matter what machines you have, it allows you to get paid in whatever coin you want to get paid in. So if you want to get paid in Bitcoin, you can do that. You can get paid. So you can have a Bitcoin machine and get paid in Litecoin, get paid in Ethereum, get paid in Bitcoin Cash.
Okay.
So as you can see, there's a wide variety of different pool types, different payout structures. So you have a lot of options. So earlier we talked about how GPU mining has the ability to mine a lot of different coins because it's more flexible. And that's one of the reasons why people choose GPU mining over ASIC mining. But with a service like pro-hashing, it kind of made that irrelevant, right? Because you can have a Bitcoin machine and still have Ethereum in your payouts.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's cool.
All right. So one of I didn't have it on here, but I'm going to say it so you can. It's in the resource guide, but I'll say it so you can write it down. There's a website called poolprofit.io. POOL profit.io, which lists the top 10 Bitcoin pools and which one is most profitable. Some of those pools are only in Chinese, in Asia, but it's I share that resource just so that way you can you can see the list of the list of pools, and it also lists not only the pool but the type of payout. So, for example, like via BTC as an example, you can choose to pay out in, and I'm not going to go through the technology behind it because we'll be out of time. But pay in PPS plus or PPLNS, and those type of different payout, will be different on your profitability. But think of it like that commission structure I talked about.
Yep.
It's like, do you want commission only? Do you want commission plus salary? Do you want a base salary but more commission? It's like that.
Okay, cool. Got it.
All right. Secret number 3, the ultimate way to build a full-time passive income business with crypto mining. The first thing to consider when you're growing big, and when I big means that, it could be tens of machines or hundreds of machines or thousands of machines. There's and especially if you want it to be passive income. So here's the thing about passive income. If you're having to work for it, and typically if you're running it out of your own home, chances are you're going to work on it, right? Then it won't be that passive anymore because you're doing some work, right? But if it's hosted somewhere else where all you did was bought the machine, got it shipped to that location, and you get paid each day, like that's truly passive, and that's the kind of passive income I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? So cloud mining is one way that it could be very passive. With cloud mining, you don't actually own the machine. You're just renting the processing power of that company's machines. Okay. The good thing about cloud mining is that it's easy. You don't own anything. It's like web hosting. You don't need to own a web server to have your website up, right? You just pay a hosting fee. And they use their own web servers and your website's up. So cloud mining is like that, okay? And co-location mining is where you own your own server, you own your own mining machine, but you're hosting it at a data center, at a mining facility. Okay, so that's co-location. So the difference between is one, you're just renting processing power. The other one, you're actually owning machines. In most cases, I do not recommend cloud mining. I think it's just way too expensive to for it to be profitable. Now there has been time when I see that a cloud mining company put their processing power on sale where it was cheap enough that it made sense. Okay, but so one example of that right now is a mining company called Hashflare.io, HASHFLARE.io. This is in the resource guide. Hashflare.io. You can rent a Bitcoin machine right now. I think it's like 60 cents per terahash, which is the calculation for the rate, which is very comparable to, what you would buy a mining machine for. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now the difference though is that with the cloud mining, they do charge you a higher maintenance fee, and then you also have to commit to them for 12 months. So that means that if it's not profitable, let's say if it stopped being profitable in 6 months, you're still having to continue to pay for it.
Yeah.
Versus when you have your own machine, if it's not profitable in 6 months, you can just turn it off, wait for Bitcoin price to go back up again to turn it back on again.
Okay, makes sense.
So again, I say cloud mining because it is very popular, but in most cases, I don't recommend it. Co-location, especially if you're doing big, right? When you go big, you want to minimize your overhead costs as much as possible so you can maximize your profit. Okay, so here's an example of a really big mining facility. So this is not your normal data center, right? This is a warehouse, a big warehouse with literally thousands of machines. Look at this. So let's just take one of this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mining machines. and go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of that, and look at how many, right?
Yeah.
This is massive. So if you want to be like a badass miner, this is what you want to grow up to be like.
Okay.
My client that's doing a $30 million, his facility will look something like this.
Yeah. Here's something just so when people are, I mean, you're taking a pretty big gamble if you install this kind of infrastructure on whatever you're mining, right? I mean, like you're saying, hey, I'm betting big on Bitcoin here. Were there a lot of miners that when the price of Bitcoin crashed, it pretty much got wiped out?
Oh
Or
yeah, a lot.
okay.
Yeah, a lot for sure. A lot of them went out of, a lot of them went out of business. It depends on how they plan ahead of time going in, right?
Mhm.
So, if you're just buying into the hype and you're like, you have that FOMO going on, fear of, missing out, and you're just buying it for the most money, you can get in trouble for it. A lot of especially the bigger mining machines, they do think longer term. They're not thinking like, what am I going to make, this today or this month. Some of them are thinking like years ahead. So they budget enough money to ride out the downturn.
Okay, makes sense.
So anyone who's doing this massive operation, generally speaking, has that kind of planning in place. It's the smaller guys, the mom and pop, that don't haven't seen this webinar and haven't planned it right, that gets themselves in trouble.
Yeah, it's always it's always the lack of planning that gets us, myself included. If I ever look back at a disaster, it was like, oh. So here's a question for you. I live in California and Arizona, lots of sunshine. How is solar power affecting these kind of prices, and is that going to be a big player in mining?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question, because I live in Texas and we have tons of sunshine, for sure. But along with that sunshine, we also have heat.
Okay, right.
So when we talk about mining, power is definitely one. The downside to solar is that you're only generating power when the sun is out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so at nighttime, you're going to have to use the power from either wind farms, windmills, or from the grid, right? So you are mixing your solar with the grid. But generally speaking, in states that you can do solar, they're hotter states. They're not colder climates like up north.
Yeah. Okay.
So now what happens is that, yes, you save money from the cost of solar, but you're paying more money in cooling. So you're really you're not saving.
6 in one, half dozen in the other, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So the reason why, and I'll share why I have half of my machines here in Texas and the other half in New York. Well, the half that are here in Texas is actually a mistake.
Okay.
Right. I'll be vulnerable and come out and share my mistakes, so you don't have to make this mistake. But I was just so excited to have control over hosting my own machines. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me, I have a big office. Let me just upgrade the electrical, build it out, and host it here where I have access to it. I can touch it. I can feel it. I know I'm protecting my assets, right? Because I have a lot of money invested. Well, which works, like it makes sense, but what happened is that, number one, it cost me a lot of money to build out. So to run 160 machines here at the office, it cost me over $50,000 in electrical upgrade and build out.
Mm-hmm.
And that 50,000, if I didn't have to build it out, if I had shipped the machines to the hosting facility in New York, Well, guess where I can put that 50,000 to buy
Yeah,
more machines with, right?
exactly. You want to show us your machines? Can you do you have time for can we look behind the door?
Yeah,
I'm
sure,
just
sure.
curious. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So toward the end of this presentation,
Okay, cool.
we'll go there. Um,
Awesome.
where was I?
So you're talking about basically using a hosting company instead of doing it on your own.
Right. So you do pay you do pay more per month to the hosting company, okay, than your own off. Well, generally speaking, not always, because depending on your electricity costs and your rent, that might not be the case. Okay. So for example, like right here at this office, my electricity cost is 8 to 9 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. The facility that I mine from, their electricity cost is less than like 3 cents per
Mm.
kilowatt hour. So they're like drastically cheaper. So even with the rent rate plus the electricity cost, it's only costing me about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So I'm only paying a little bit more than 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So it's costing me a little bit more, but completely like I don't have the $50,000 to build out. I don't have to manage anything. I don't have to have staff. Like everything is managed and insured and everything by them.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good mistake to avoid for people that want to get in it a little bit bigger. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
good info.
And a lot of time people tendency, and this is business owners, like we're so smart, sometimes it works against us, right? A lot of times when people are looking at growing big, they're thinking, oh man, I'm gonna go and rent a building, or I'm gonna go and buy a building, and I'm gonna set up my own mining facility so I don't have to pay rent, to mine with other people. Well, um, unless you can get your all-in cost, meaning your build-out cost, your rent or mortgage cost, your electricity cost, your insurance cost, your staff cost. Unless you can get all of that cost to be cheaper than sending it to a facility, you shouldn't do it.
Yep. Okay, cool. That makes sense. And that's good. That's good to know. I had to outsource every single thing besides hanging out with my family that I could. So that's good to know.
Right. Yeah. Internet marketers like are typically much smarter. Like outsourcing is such in our blood because we kind of grew up in that outsourcing sort of industry, right?
Yeah, I think you
But
realize that you're going to pay for it one way or the other, right? You're going to pay for those resources one way or the other, and and there's somebody out there that can do it better than me. That's what I learned a long time ago. So that's cool. All right,
yep.
sweet. Let's jam on here if you got a little bit
Okay.
more because we're about an
Okay.
hour
Yeah.
and 20 in. So
Okay. Yeah. We're almost done. So next,
cool.
so now growing big, right? How are you going to grow big? Because if you're using your own money, chances are you're going to be capped out at some point. Okay, whether you're going to be capped out at 10 machines or 100 machines or 1,000 machines, you're going to be capped out. So one of the things that I learned from the real estate business is called OPM. It stands for other people's money. Okay, so if you heard about real estate, they talk about no money down, how you can buy real estate with no money. It's not because they're not using any money. It's because they're not using their own money. They're using other people's money, whether it's the bank's money, the hard money lender's money, someone else's money they're using to buy real estate with. So guess what? You can do the exact same thing in your mining business. Okay, so so the first 10 machines that I bought, I used my own money to do it. That GPU, those GPU rigs that you saw, I used my own money to do it. But when I grew into the other machines, I started to share with my friends and family and says, "Hey, I'm doing this. It's awesome. It's making this much money. If you want to go in on it with me, you put up the money. I do the work to put it to mining, and we split the profit." Okay, like just that simple. Okay, and that's how I grew from that 10 machine into over 300 machines, like pretty much overnight. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And yeah, and my client that's building the $30 million mining facility, guess how they're doing it? It's not their own money,
Yeah.
right? They're using other people's money. They're using investors' money, to build out such a facility.
Cool.
And so yeah, so as you're thinking and growing your business, like think beyond you. You don't have to limit to you doing all the work, you hosting all the machines, and you putting up all the money. You just need to use your brain, be smart about it, and leverage off of other people's resources.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. All right, just gonna quickly go through the scams, and then we'll take a tour. So some scams to avoid. Warren Buffett says his rule for investing is rule number 1: don't lose money. Right.
Yeah.
Rule number 2: see rule number 1. Okay. And another quote that I love a lot is it's better to get a return of your money than a return on your money. And that rule is what I do my lending business based on. I never loan money because it's a high return. I loan money because I feel confident that I'm going to get my money back.
Yeah, good. I like it.
Yes. There's a lot of MLM companies out there. I'm sure there's good ones, but in this space, in the crypto space, avoid MLM as much as you can. Okay, when possible, deal in in person. If you can buy the machines in person, great. If you can't, make sure it's a reputable company. Don't send crypto first until you receive a product. If you're gonna, especially when you're dealing with, people or companies that you don't know. Okay, and so there's some of the things I wanted to say there. So just really quickly, I hope that it's been a valuable time that you spent on this call so far.
I think it's been great, man. This has been so awesome.
I try to condense 6 months worth of mining into 1 hour and a half. But I do have a special offer for you. And if you act fast, if you buy now, we'll give you a special deal. And it's completely free. So there is nothing for you to buy.
Awesome. We've got that link up too for him, right, Richard?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we should have that up there, I believe. Yeah, okay. So it's up there because, I know I twisted your arm on that $100 coupon. So I appreciate that for everybody. Tell everybody what's in the resource guide and what the coupon is too.
Right. Yeah, so the resource guide basically kind of summarize what we talked about today, have all the links for you, all the links that we have talked about today, plus more links on there. So it's a very good resource guide. And then the $100 Bitman coupon is for you, like that Antminer machines. That's from the company called Bitman. And so you can buy the machine using that $100 coupon. Now I know this series ends on June 14th. And these coupons will end at the end of the month, the end of June, expires at the end of June. So you do need to hurry up and if you want this coupon, make sure you let me know, and that that's the link where it'll tell you how to send me your Bitcoin account email address so I can send you the coupon. But you do have until June 15th to request for the coupon. Okay, so anytime after June 15th, I reserve the right to not send anymore, because you might not have enough time to actually use the coupon, and it's just gonna expire on you. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. And are you ready for the tour now?
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions before we do the tour?
No. Just give us a quick little glimpse there into what you've got going on. I'm excited to see it. I think this has been great.
So I do have to walk down. Tell me if you start hearing the sound yet. I'm gonna walk down this way.
I can't hear. I can't hear it too much. Yeah, okay. You got some good soundproofing there.
Let me go faster. Okay. Well. Okay. I'm not. after this, I'm not going to be able to hear you anymore, okay? Because it's pretty loud.
Okay. So can people not see Tim?
Okay. So these are.
Okay. Let me see here. Okay, cool. That is.
All right, now I can hear you again.
Yeah, that's intense. That's intense.
Did you hear how loud it was?
Yeah, you can totally hear how loud it is. Stefan, did everybody see that?
Was that
Cool.
too quick? You want to do it again, or?
Yeah, no, we got it. It was awesome. That was really cool. Cause yeah, I think people you know, especially if they're into mining, I mean, you're the real deal, you know, like you can see all those machines and you totally know what you're talking about. And it's been hella fun, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I enjoyed it as well. It was cool.
That's so cool. So yeah, I think, you know, a couple of recommendations to everybody out there, and then we'll finish up. The first thing I can say is that Tim's presentation today is going to be live for the next 24 hours. So you should watch it again, especially if you're into mining. And I think for me, whether mining, it was certainly an interest of mine, but whether it's an interest of yours that you're going to you know, pursue as a business, pursue as a hobby, pursue as some sort of profit endeavor, you want to watch this because he threw out so many different awesome resources and things that you can get, you know, acclimated to it very quickly. I mean, an hour and a half is pretty quick. To get acclimated to the mining industry. And second, if you have no intention of ever mining, I think because it's such a big part of cryptocurrency and the different kinds of cryptocurrency, it's good to watch this again and just know what the hell it is, you know, to understand, you know, how people are doing it and what they're doing. So, man, I've got to thank you for coming on. It's been just a jam-packed content presentation. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And go out there, happy mining, and make a lot of money.
All right, Tim, I appreciate it. I'm going to remind everybody, if you want a recording of Tim's presentation here, you can do that through our cryptocurrency training kit. It's going to get you downloadable access to the videos that you see, audios, transcripts, and bonus gifts, including Tim's, of all of our speakers. You get that for only $297. You also get a special bonus training called the Crypto Mastery Program that Roger Bryan and I have produced. And after the summit, the price of this training is going to go to $497. So if you'd like to own the materials and refer back to them, you'll want to jump on that right now. And so I appreciate everybody. And on behalf of the Future of Money team, I want to thank you again, Tim. It was just a totally kick-ass presentation, man. You did great. A lot of wisdom, a lot of experience there with mining. And everybody, we'll see you on the next call. So thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.